Welcome back to episode 3 of Academy. As was suggested by Carrie Agas, I'm going to mine each side of the door here. That way that only one person can attack the door at any given time. That means the door should last a little bit longer, because it can't be attacked by 3 people at once, it can only be attacked by 1. Because I've made this change, that means that the trap here is now in an awkward position, meaning you'll have to cross over a trap to get to it, to reset it. So I'll just delete these traps so that our settlers don't walk on their own traps. Oh, first new recruit, Aiken. So I can't see what his perks are, but I can see stats for some of them. Ranged combat is the only passion that he has. He's a bookish archer, so he's not great, but I'm going to take him anyway. So let's see what we get. Oh, he's got fleet-footed, whirlwind. That's really good. Night owl, that's good. But he's dullard. That's probably one of the worst ones you can get. That's a really bad one. But the fleet-footed, or the whirlwind, is really good because it increases his movement speed. Which means maybe he'd be well suited to being a steward. So let's see. He can definitely be hauling, and he can take over the steward duties from Kyle. Because Kyle's more of a skilled worker, so I'd rather have him do skilled work. He's not got any other skills, but I could have him hunting. He can urgent haul. Maybe he can do cooking as well, just so that he's not standing around doing all craft. He could definitely be a crafter. I'm going to need a crafter eventually to make bricks and such, so it can definitely be a 2 maybe for him. It's quite a high priority. Okay. Now for his schedule. He's a night owl, so I'll set him up to sleep during the day and do stuff during the night. And because he's a night owl, he actually needs less sleep and has faster sleep recovery, so he won't need as many hours sleep as everyone else. So I think I can get away with 6, I think, or yeah. So I don't have a weapon for him yet, but I'll set up some like meals and such for him. Kyle's working away on the houses. We actually now need a 4th, considering Aiken's joined us. I never really thought of that when I started them, but that'll be fine. What we need to do next is to research wooden weaponry so I can make a bow for Aken. Because of the way Aiken joined, where there's a search party looking for him, they're now going to come here, and they're potentially going to fight us in order to get Aiken. We can either hand Aiken over, or we can fight them to keep Aiken. We can also potentially negotiate with them. So I want this tunnel finished as soon as possible. And that's the first chamber finished. This one could be for Kyle, I suppose, seeing as he built it. I should also set my tailoring bench to recycle materials when they don't meet a certain standard, so when the quality goes below 55%, it'll be recycled, so that tattered clothing gets recycled. and I'll set up a second one, which basically will be when the quality is substandard. So if it's a quality is sturdy or lower, it'll be recycled until, so Mary will keep making clothes until it's better than sturdy. Even if it's 100%, it'll be recycled. So that's the way I normally do it. And it looks like everyone's joyful, except Aiken, who'll probably become joyful in due time. I need to try and get this mining finished before that search party arrives. Johnny's mining is now 16, so he's pretty good. And Aiken, the Nighthawk, is getting to work hauling plants by the looks of it. I prefer he grabbed this wood, to be honest, or these sticks. I mean, he's not that fast. The whirlwind's no increasing him that much. I guess that's in comparison to these other characters who have all the speed bonuses you could possibly have. Well, not a save, of course. In the morning, I want Kyle to focus on getting this door built. Otherwise, they would have a route into our fort. They would just path, rather than go to the door, they would actually just path down and into the cave and to get to us, which would defeat the purpose entirely. To get this bridge built, I'm going to need ladders to get down there to be able to build the columns, which can then host the support beam. Wait a minute. Who's hunting? Who's he going to hunt? Boar. That's not a good idea. He would lose that fight. I think I'll cancel that. I'm not sure why that got done. Aiken only has a sling and he's not even that skilled. Plus, he has no armour to protect him. He would get annihilated. Boars are very likely to fight back. So the search party arrives in 19 hours. Do I have time? So if I build this quickly, I might be able to craft a couple of bows before they arrive. $18 hours. Maybe, just maybe I can get this done. To do that, I'll need to make sure Johnny is doing carpentry. Do until you have 2. He's getting that done fast. Got plenty of time, it seems. I'll make another. Now Mary has a bow, and I'll get a bow for Aiken, so then we all have a bow. Now that that's done, I'll make carpentry 4. So that's us getting some cabbage crops. What I can actually do when I'm farming is I can set this to go to flowering, which means I get more seeds. Or right now it's mainly set to get the maximum amount of cabbage. So if I set it to flowering, I'll get 2 seeds. And if I set it going to seed, then I'll actually get 10 seeds. So what is a good idea to do is to set up some cabbage to be set to seed, so that you're constantly making a supply of seeds. So I'll do that now for demonstration. Click this, duplicate it or copy it, and just paste it here. So there's just one patch here, and I'll set it to go into seed. So it looks like the houses we were building are finished, which means we've got a better place to sleep now. My cooking spot here has been hindered by the rain, which I can solve by building a roof over the top. It won't let me do that because there's a roof there. And that's simple. I'll build a couple of wooden columns either side and then build the wooden floor above it. So it's just covering it, and that should eliminate the productivity debuff from being in the rain. "5 hours with a search bar. Should be fine. We'll just have woken up and be ready for it then." The negotiators arrived, so this is our chance to negotiate whether we're going to hand over Aiken, try and barter with them to keep them, or to tell them that we're going to protect them. Mary will do this because she has good charisma. So let's see how this goes. So we can surrender Aiken, which will have a negative debuff to the community. Try and make them an offer, which is still a positive if it works, I guess. I'd never really do that. Or we can be defiant and refuse to hand them over, in which case they will come to attack us. I don't think it's guaranteed that they'll attack you. I think sometimes they will just leave, but we'll find out very quickly. And it looks like they're going to fight us. So they'll arrive in 3 hours. So the attack is now imminent. They could arrive at any moment. I'll just watch my settlers and make sure they didn't go too far afield. Keep them near the base and ready. I don't want them caught by themselves at the edge of the map. And here they are. They've arrived. It looks like they're in this river strait, which I think means they have to swim all the way down this river to get to us. It's a terrible position for them. So I've paused the game, and I'll just set up all my guys to go to the edge of this cliff here, because that looks like the way that they're going to be coming. I can't see any paths up, so they have to just swim all the way down here and try and get to us through here. Very bad spawn point for them, very good for our defences. It may take them a moment to get to us. So the way they're going to path is they're going to try and get to settlers if they can. They kind of prioritise a settler as long as they can get to them, or they'll attack buildings or structures. Basically, they'll attack the pyres. If they could get to that well, they'll try and destroy the well, but if it's behind the door, they'll go for the objects that are not behind the door that they can get to more easily. And more importantly, they'll go for an enemy unit, so one of our settlers. They'll go for them before they'll go for buildings as well, depending on how close they are. So it depends how far we are away from them, whether they'll go for us or go for a building like the pyre. We have a height advantage, which makes our attack stronger, but actually just having one level above them gives you the same height advantage as several. So the height we have here is quite unnecessary, but it's still good to have height. It gives us an advantage. Their archer doesn't seem to be able to do anything against us, presumably because he's in the war. So they've almost been annihilated already, but I'll relocate. I predict that they're now going to path to the pyre. And I've purposely put the pyre in a position that they have to come into my line of sight from my archers to get to it. Also, I will unrestrict these items that they drop. So when they die, they drop their items, but they're restricted. So you have to unrestrict them so they can be picked up. So we won the battle. That was pretty easy. And we can take this person as a prisoner. Having a look at their stats, they're benevolent, robust, and outgoing. They don't really seem to have any passion. A weary gardener, which means they are actually... So they farm and they can cook. But I don't really have a warden to recruit them, so I don't think at this time I'm going to take them. So, the burning of the bodies. That's what the pyre's basically for. So if you look here, you can see that when they see a dead body, it's unpleasant for them. So you need to try and get rid of the enemy dead bodies. A pyre is probably the easiest way to do that, rather than taking up space, putting them in a coffin or anything. I'll remove settler corpse because I don't want to burn them. I prefer to give them like a more ceremonial burial. I could change the fuels that they use, and that's it. And someone will go and burn that body for me. I think that would be a stewarding task. But it actually might be a hauling task. Either way, it looks like Aiken's doing it just now. He'll get a negative debuff for doing this. So if you ever have a character who's callous, they won't get the negative debuff. So they're actually a good person to use for getting rid of bodies. Especially when the enemy units is larger. So you have like 60 of them turn up. That can cause a lot of psychological damage to one of your settlers to have to deal with that. Just moving some general storage into these houses because we're overflowing in the main little building. I actually need to build another floor to this or build something better in its place. Not sure where to build exactly. Looks like the wooden beams have been built, so should be able to finish this bridge now, which will make it easier to get to the other side and harvest trees or whatever. It would probably make sense to make this my workshop, which means I need to move the research bench out of there. The research bench can make a room a library by itself with a bookcase. I don't have bookcases yet, but I'll prepare for the future when I do, where I can start to make rooms specialised, which gives productivity boosts. So here is where I'll probably build the library, which will be quite small, semi-temporary, but at the same time we'll try and build it so that it's good enough to last a while. So this will do. It's quite small, but I just need it to last the first few levels of research. So wooden floor, and I'll need a staircase going up. And I'll put this here. So next floor, I'll just pull the floor tiles. I don't need any beams, it's not big enough. Or it's not so big that it needs a beam. So then I just build the second floor wall. Structurally, this is very solid because it's not too big. And I'm going to build a separate room here, which is going to lead up to the tower above. So it's going to be 2 floors, a ground floor and a first floor, and then a tower above, which I can use to protect the area. I always leave doing the windows until last, and that's because if you were using support beams, you would want to have the beams up first, and then you'll do the windows last. That's typically how I would build. It also helps to know your interior walls before you add the windows as well. And of course, defensive Merlin on the roof or on the tower. there are different levels of research. This is research 1, there's research 2, and there's research 3. So this will only have 2 floors. In the future, I could add a 3rd floor if I want to do a 3rd research bench, because each level will need its own bench. But for now, this is going to be pretty sufficient. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.